Well, good morning, everybody. We'll just give a couple of minutes for the last participants to join our session this morning, and then we'll all get started. So if we just hold on for a couple of minutes and see just if there's any late stragglers. Okay, then, so let's get this session started. Thank you all for joining us. Housekeeping things, please mute your microphone so we don't get any background noise from your end. If you've got any questions during the session, hopefully there are a few. Please use the chat or the Q&A button to talk to the team, and we'll respond to you once the event is concluded today. Today's webinar is going to be recorded, and it will be used as part of our series, our Security Wednesday series, and published on our YouTube channel for further reference for you to view at a later date if you've got any people you want to share this with later. So welcome to the first of a four-part Security Wednesday webinar series, during which we'll share, with the help of our partners, some information relating to current and future technologies, methods to achieve managed upgrades, and what the future actually holds for us all. My name is John Lakin, and I'll be hosting the events on behalf of Advanced ID Solutions and ID Control. And I'd like to introduce you to today's speaker, Mr. Robert Jansen of STID Security, who'll provide the content for today's webinar. Robert's an industry professional with more than 25 years experience in the physical access space. So I'm assuming Robert is ready to go, and I look forward to your presentation, Robert.
I am indeed. Thank you very much, John, for that. I will just share my screen here. Okay. Thank you very much for inviting me, John, and welcome everybody here for joining me on these 20-25 minutes of a discussion and information on how to change from old to newer security, from low to high security. So why migrate at all, and where should you migrate to, and how to migrate, and migration scenarios? These are the questions that we're going to try to start to find an answer to you. So why migrate? What are the reasons? Well, for once, you have a lot of systems. Most of you on this call most likely have already access control systems, and you have cards and you have readers. This is developing all the time. Security is constantly under attack from people who have malicious intent with your security that you buy to put on walls all the time. There are weaknesses in most technologies. However, the contemporary technologies that we're going to discuss today, where you should move to, have less weaknesses and a longer lifespan going forward. The maintenance could be really expensive of old technologies. Things are getting obsolete, and for instance, code tag, a very commonly used technology all over the world, a few days ago was made obsolete by the owner Vanderbilt. So you will not be able to get hold of those cards anymore in the future at all, even if you have money to pay for them. So resupply difficulties will definitely be a problem for everybody going into access control. You also have new needs. In the past, when we looked at access control, most of the access controls were deployed for usage for your employees. But now you have much more wider use of an access control. You have visitors, you have consultants, you have other people that you need to be able to manage in different ways and with different technologies that you did in the past. And most of you are using cards or key fobs. We are going to look at here also the movement to other technologies such as phones, QR codes, and other means of access to a door. And you have a lot of regulatory constraints, and we're not going to move in very much to those today, but please come back to us and we can have a new session on those. So where should you migrate to? Well, to be fairly ready to do this, you need to understand how access control and readers and cards work with each other here. So the basic principle is shown on this picture here. You have a reader, whatever shape or form that might be, and you have a card to the left most likely. A few of you might also have a phone, but most of you are living in a world where you have a reader and you have a card. So the card comes in to an inductive field of the reader, and this inductive field is charging the card, the passive card without batteries, to start transmitting the information from the card to the reader. Then after that is passed on to the access control system. And here you also have various flavors. So many years ago, when proximity cards were invented, we started in the industry with quite a few technology kilohertz, sorry, frequencies, different frequencies. And the most predominant frequency is 125 kilohertz when you look at the legacy. And under 125 kilohertz, you find brand names like HID Prox, you find Electromarine, and you find other. 3.25 megahertz, not so widely used in the international arena. Some proprietary systems have been using those. But mid-90s came a shift where we needed to find a way to put more security onto the card and to be able to have a 300 milliseconds response from card to reader being read. We needed to move up to a higher frequency to push more data in from the card to the reader in that time. So that was the move when we moved up to 13.56 megahertz. And a lot of these things that we're going to talk about too, the movement is going to go from 125 to 13.56 around the doors. The ultra high frequency to the right, where you find 866, 915 megahertz, is used mainly for vehicle access. Most of you who will now move into new technologies from the 125 will have a mix at the end with 13.56 megahertz card as well as NFC Bluetooth working in the same reader. We're going to try to find a way for you to do this seamlessly. The 125 kilohertz tokens comes in various flavors. To the right, you see a card. You also see a little needle pinpoint access tag that you sometimes can find being used for tagging cats, dogs, cows, and other. But the card is the most widely used media for identifying yourself at the door. And the readers come in all kinds of flavors. It is a mature technology. It will possibly give a very good reading, but there are so much disadvantages with this one, and security is one. The low speed is preventing you from having a lot of security features on the card to the reader to protect the valuable content that you have, which in your case would be identity. But it is really easy of implementation. You have very few disturbances. So this is a convenience way, a very good technology, but security-wise, very, very bad. So the state of the art, disregard of what flavor of readers you have there, 13.56 brings bigger value to you, rightly used. So interoperability and standardization is key. When we moved up in industry from 125 kilohertz to 13.56 megahertz, we also came up with two various ISO standards, ISO 14443 and ISO 15693. Before that, no standard at all. Everybody spoke in the same frequency, but nobody understood each other. And some of you have experienced that from trying to read different technologies in the same reader. It will most likely not work. Very inexpensive identifiers in the 13.56 megahertz. And the benefits also are that you can have so many different security levels. And the base of the security levels on a DESFire EV2 and EV3, for instance, is very, very high and will lead you into a secure future for many, many years to come. You could also now, with the 13.56 megahertz card, you can also move into the thought of multi-use, so not using the card only for access control. You can also use the card for time and attendance, cashless vending, and other things that you might think valuable for your staff. The disadvantages of 13.56 megahertz, when you try to squeeze in a lot of information in a very limited time frame, is that you need to have a very, very well-tuned antenna in the card and a very well-tuned antenna in the reader to get a good read range. The problem you have, some of you might have encountered when you moved up to 13.56, when you have an untuned card or an untuned reader, is that you have a very limited read range. But with Advanced ID's choices here and their expertise, you will have those tuned to 13.56, and that will give you a good read range. It's not very suitable for reading cards in volume because of the ISO standard setup with UID and CSN. The UID and CSN on the card is not a security feature. It is an anti-collision, which means that the reader will connect to one card and within 300 milliseconds disconnect and move to the other card. But some of you might have used this as a security identifier, and it's not made for that. The 13.56 megahertz is also quite sensitive to metallic environments. Copy and cloning of cards is really easy for most of the technologies out in the field. And this is just a list of various technologies that is really easily cloned and copied. So with a €5 or let's say €10 blue reader to the left there, that could be bought by any of the students at your local primary school. They can destroy the security of any school or daycare center or a community house using those technologies here. So that blue little reader there for €10 would easily clone an HD Prox Electromarine. The one for a little bit more money there, like €20 down to the right, would easily take care of the MyFair CSN or sector of the MyFair card. And with a little bit more expensive card or just a phone, an Android phone, you can easily get a clone to the iCloud's Legacy or Legic Prime. It's about seconds. And the question is, do you really want to be this unsafe when the same cost for a safe technology is giving you the full security? We also look at the ultra-high frequency. The ultra-high frequency that you might have installed already is made for vehicle access for long range. You can have up to maybe 15 meters in read range, sometimes even more with the right tokens. Very low cost per tag. And if you want to read a lot of tags at the same time, ultra-high frequency is a really good solution. This is why it's used in vehicle access, but also in your local or the post or UPS terminals to read and scan packages and other things there, clothing in dry cleaners and so on. The ultra-high frequency has its disadvantages with its very sensitivity to metal and human body, human medium is also there. Sometimes there is a limited security. You can clone protect a UHF card, but it's really difficult to protect the signal between the card media and the reader itself, as you do with, for instance, Desfire. And very, very often it's very sensitive to the tag positioning. So meaning that you very often need to hold your card straight to the reader and not in any other way. There are other cards that could provide a better solution there, but you need to know what you're doing. So the cost of the reader a little bit higher. The cost for the tags are really, really low cost. So looking at the full picture, which I work in every day, and this is my elevator pitch. So I work to protect your security every day from the card media through the reader into the system. And the system can be of various flavors. Our readers are capable of connecting to 99% of all the systems on the world. So this is where I'm going to take you through here. There are different threats to the media, to the readers, and also to the transition of the vital information, that is your identity in this case, from the card to the reader and from the reader up to your system. And the countermeasurements is all there. So come back to us and we will go through those in the next sessions when we come to the Desfire and also to mobile phone usage here. But we're going to look a little bit about this under the threats of the card reader, the transition, and the reader itself. So when you look at your own facility, your home or your office, and you're looking at a standard mechanical locks, you very often have this choice. So what would be your choice? Well, here it's quite easy to say what choice would be yours. You would hardly choose the right key there. The left key, you can see from the beginning that it is rather much safer. And this is not as easy when it comes to card, because a card, not even I, who work every day with access control cards, can tell just by looking at the card if this is a safe card or not. I can use my instrument to see if the card is a safe carrier of your identity, but how you then use that technology is a different story. So here we have about 20 years of card technology development. All of those card technologies that you will see here are working on 13.56 megahertz. And we can see a lot of brand names here. We can see MIFARE Classic to the left. We see MIFARE DeskFire and Ultralight. And we can see MIFARE DeskFire Evolution 1, Evolution 2, and Evolution 3, MIFARE Plus, and then to the right, SmartMX. The Crypto One algorithm that you see to the left there got hacked in December 2007. Still today, I see specifiers specifying MIFARE Classic being the predominant technology for governments in various countries. And this is absolutely crazy. MIFARE Classic is a hack technology. Not even NXP, who owns MIFARE Classic, they are promoting MIFARE Classic as being the technology of choice. Already before MIFARE Classic got hacked in 2007, they had already started at NXP for the development of the next generation called MIFARE DeskFire. As the name says there, they started with the triple DES and triple DES and 3 times triple DES technologies to encrypt the data, whilst Crypto One was a proprietary technology. So while doing that, over time, then triple DES also got compromised. And then NXP, the owner of the MIFARE family technology cards, they moved over to advanced encryption standard, AIS, or Rheindal is also told, as now being a public symmetrical technology of encryption. Using 128-bit keys in the communication between the reader and the card now gives a very, very good commercially valid proposition for you as an end user to provide a security. Most high security reader manufacturers on the planet today are using MIFARE, either 1, either 2, and either 3 in various ways. The important stuff here is to use it from the core security and not have an obstructive extra layer of security on the card. MIFARE Plus is also a really, really good security solution. MIFARE Plus also gives you the EAL5 Plus common criteria standard for security, which then is provided by MIFARE DeskFire EV2 and EV3 and MIFARE Plus. Not MIFARE DeskFire EV1, which has an EL4 Plus common criteria standard. RSA, which is then supported by SmartMX, gives SmartMX is a card where you actually emulate the various technologies that you will use. SmartMX could be a carrier for a security of your choice, but it would bring a higher value, but also a little bit extra layer of protection. There are many international standards to provide a secure, interoperable way of secure your identity data. And there are things that we in the industry let our customers and partners and end user buy. And there are things that we actively promote to the market. And most of the security professionals in the world today, including the specifiers of governmental agencies, they are choosing to specify MIFARE DeskFire EV2 or EV3 to be the choice of security. It is open. You can Google, the factories are in thousands around the world. You can get the card from anywhere and they all work on the same standard. It will give a protection against most of the even thought of attacks that a card could be attacked against. The multi-application use could be a really good fit for you, meaning that you now can split the investment between the security and the HR and maybe the canteen on the same card. The important stuff here, when you move over to a higher security, is to use the card in the intended way, meaning that if you buy a really good safe and you put your valuable things in the safe and you lock the door but keep the keys in there, it will not be very safely stored, and we can all agree on that one. And the same thing comes with the cards. So rightfully used, a DeskFire card is a really, really good choice. But you need also to turn on the security features on the card. And this is where we're going to help you through Advanced ID and STID to make sure that you have the right security for you. Do not use the UID or the CSN to identify you in the readers. And whatever you do, if you find our argumentation on MIFARE DESFire EV2 or EV3 not being right for you, please choose an open technology. Make sure that you're in control of your security all the time. And with that, I will end the 20 minutes or so here by just giving a flag for the other seminars that is coming here from Advanced ID on the 19th of May, the 2nd of June, and the 16th of June at these times given here. And then the next seminar, I'm going to talk about STID readers, DESFire, and deep down a little bit about that, and go over to mobile credentials on the 2nd. And on the 16th, I will know that Advanced ID would talk a bit more about Digivo and the security as a service-based access control system for that. Thank you very much, John, for letting me here, and thank you very much all of you who have listened.
Thanks, Robert. And look, thank you to everybody who's attended this morning. Hopefully it's got your interest in the technologies that you're currently using and the way forward for new technologies and the path that you're going to walk, and hopefully you'll walk that path with us and we'll help you navigate those processes. And thank you, Robert, for such an informative insight. And I look forward to seeing all of you in 2 weeks' time, where, like Robert has said, we'll talk about the reader technologies and the most secure ways to utilize your RFID technology of choice going forward. So thank you all very, very much. And I look forward to seeing you all in 2 weeks' time.